Hello and welcome to the Channel 5 News. I am Idona Jean Baptiste. Coming up, a major cleanup for the Collio Primary School 2 months after Hurricane Maria as Cuban step in to fast-track the rebuilding process.
King Garments on 28 Stibber Street in Pottersville offer a variety of services to you, the general public. We produce independent and local clothing at our Pottersville store. We offer top security services to our many clients and business houses. Also, just arrive at our new PowerMate 6,000 kilowatt generator to power your homes after Hurricane Maria. So come into 28 Stibber Street in Pottersville or call King's Garments at 440-6181, 277-7178 or 317-4441. King's Garments, we are here to serve you.
On Tuesday, the Cuban ambassador to Dominica, along with an engineer and project supervisor from Cuba, visited Collio Primary to assess the September 18 hurricane impact.
Cuba sent, just yesterday they arrived 8 workers in order to rebuild this school. Now we are in situ in order to see the needs of the material to repair the school. So we will have around 1 month, maybe less, in order to do that.
Ambassador, what would be the plan for the Collio Primary School project?
So the plan is to rebuild the roof, to repair everything that we can, also the fence, to painting. So we want to give a new school to the children of Collio. Next month we are going to send a lot of material, construction material. So we are going to receive a ship from Cuba with a lot of construction material. So in this case, now the government will give the supplies of the material to the Cuban workers, and we will do it. And at the end of the month, Cuba will give more material to the government as donation.
Mm-hmm. When does the physical work start?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow. So we want to call the community to help us, because now the first step will be to clean the school and then to create conditions to start to work. So tomorrow 8:30 in the morning, so we are going to start.
The Collio Primary School was the learning institution worst hit by Hurricane Maria. Mrs. George, what are you dealing with here at the Collio Primary School?
Well, it's a lot of debris inside out. And the worst part is that the roof was blown away. So everything upstairs is in disarray. At present, well, we have to report here every day. And we have to be cleaning the rooms downstairs, because whenever it rains, it could be a drizzle. The water comes downstairs. It seeps from the roof upstairs and it comes downstairs and it wets everywhere, towards the office, the kitchen and the free classrooms downstairs.
Given that a Cuban team is going to come in to help assist to reconstruct the school, what is the timeline to resume classes here? Has the education authorities settled that?
No, they have not settled that, because as recently as yesterday, I spoke with the chief, and the intention was to have some tarpaulins placed up there so that on the roof, so that we could arrange something downstairs. And the gentleman who came to do it, he only came today. But now that the Cubans are here, they asked me to stop him, because as early as tomorrow, they want to begin cleaning upstairs.
The Salisbury Primary School is the most recent learning institution on the West to reopen against the backdrop of an uncovered roof. Normally, school would end at 3:30 p.m. with an hour-and-a-half lunch break from midday. School hours now run from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
We opened yesterday and it was relatively smooth. Everything went okay today. the same. Today was a good day as well at the school. So things are going on fine so far for second day at school.
What have you had to do to shift classes around to accommodate students?
Well, we received 2 tents from UNICEF, and this helped us greatly. So we have a few classes in the tents, and we had to make use of some of the classes we had downstairs of our building. This in itself is a slight problem because when it rains, because the roof is gone, then we still get some water downstairs. But it's not major, we don't get major flooding. We get major flooding in some areas like the library, we get major flooding there. But in the classroom areas, the flooding is minor, but we do get some water in there. So this situation we would really wish could be rectified, but that's how it is for now.
Does that mean, as it relates to the case at your library, you have to restock the library totally?
Well, some of them got damaged during the hurricane because of all the water that we got, but because they are on shelves, some of them are still safe, and some of them are still in, quite a number of them are in good condition. But we did get some damaged books there, no doubt.
While the Kulibi Street Primary School experienced flooding, there was no structural impact on the building. Classes resumed last week. Up next, the Cuban government has deployed a third team of workers to Dominica to help in the post-hurricane recovery effort. Here's Julian Morris with more.
Ambassador from Meta told the daily press briefing that Cuban teams were already in Dominica 72 hours after the hurricane. The latest team to arrive in Dominica this week was a group of construction workers. Their focus will be to repair damaged schools in the country.
10 days ago, Cuba sent one ship with more than 312 supplies, material, let us say steel, cement, food, water, and other things. At the same time, this was our contribution, our donation to Dominican people. At the same time, Cuba decided to send 2 things in order to work with DONLEC with the idea to repair or to help to recover the electrical service. Also, we send 10 persons with machine in order to cut trees. They have been working in the last days in the botanical garden. Even they finish their tasks in the botanical garden, and maybe tomorrow they will go to Emerald Pool to continue giving our contribution. At the same time, these 2 things that are working with the DONLEC, maybe you have seen them working in Goodwill, Foncolé, so they have been working for at least 1 month in Dominica in order to give our contribution to Dominica. I have the opportunity also to inform that just yesterday, Cuba sent a team of workers, contractors, so I have the opportunity to present. 2 of them are here with me, 1 engineer and 1 contractor, with the idea to give our contribution to the process to open the school in Dominica. So the intention is, in the next weeks, to repair a primary school in Collywood. So this is one part of the Cuban contribution. Let me tell you something. Also, Cuba decided to send our own food and our own water for Cuban collaborators. What is the intention? Not to be a concern to the government or to be a concern to the people of Dominica. So we are self-sufficient. We are also, my people is living in, let us say, in regular condition at the National Stadium. If you can give greetings, you can go there. But the idea is to support as much as we can this process to Dominica. I always say that we are brother island, we are sister island, we are part of the Caribbean, We are ALBA member. So this is the solidarity that Cuba could provide to Dominica. I always say, Dominica, tell us in what way we can help, and for sure we will do it. It's our duty, it's our solidarity, it's our spirit to continue supporting Dominica.
Meantime, Cuba has pledged to continue supporting Dominica in traditional areas.
We have the idea to continue giving or to maintain the scholarship program in the coming years. For sure, we are continuing giving solidarity to Dominica in the next months. So this is the first part. This is the first intention. But for sure, Cuban people and Cuban government will be close together to Dominica. So I would like, finally, to confirm the political will and the commitment of Cuban government and Cuban people to Dominica.
Julian Morris reporting for Channel 5 News.
Dexia makes its first major shipment of dasheen since Hurricane Maria. Andrea Lui is up next with that story.
Things seem to be looking up for Dominican farmers as on 2nd November, the country exported its first shipment of dasheen to the United States market since Hurricane Maria. The over 18,000-pound shipment was not the first export of ground provision from the island since a Category 5 hurricane, as smaller shipments of yam, ginger, coconut and dasheen have already been made to smaller regional markets. Operations manager for Dexia's multi-purpose pack houses, Bristol Lawrence, says the process of putting together the shipment of dasheen for the United States market was not without its challenges.
In relation to our shipment, I must say it was a challenge. And first of all, let me commend the farmers for their effort and the staff for putting in more than 100% in my view to make it happen. So we want to say kudos to them. We exported just above maybe 18,000 pounds of dasheen. Initially, when we went out after the hurricane to do some assessment, I think it was about a week after the hurricane, we realized that we had close to about 40,000 pounds of dasheen, which was really on schedule for us to export. So something had to be done really to see how we could salvage some of those dasheen so we could bring some relief to the farmers, not only salvage the dasheen. Okay, so we quickly get in contact with our contact in the US, and he confirmed that he's able to take a shipment. So we started putting preparation in place. As you can see, our facilities suffered some extensive damage. Even where we stand right now, we could say at least 80% of our roof was gone, and that going with electricity and some of the other things that we had stored in there. But we were able to at least partially cover the roof, restore electricity via our generator to our critical parts, and put in the necessaries like getting our pallets, getting our boxes made. This was another challenge because we had to schedule how we do that, do a lot of cleaning, and start scheduling for the shipment. So we started really receiving dasheen on the Sunday back to Wednesday so that we can have everything in place. It was also a challenge to get the reefer container, you know, the chaos at the port. It's overloaded. But thanks to the work of the staff there, we were able to move it on tropical. We could have everything done in a timely manner so that the dasheen could be ready.
You mentioned it was very challenging putting the shipment together to export to the United States market. How soon is Dexia expecting to ship another portion of dasheen to that same area?
Okay. To be honest, I would say maybe about 3 weeks to maybe a month. First, we'll want to see the result of this dasheen, the reaction on the market. It takes about a week to get there. And based on the report from up there, the market is a bit slow because Jamaica is back on. So what we're trying to do in the interim is to raise some awareness So I'm in contact with the gentleman to see the exact location where the dashing is going to be sold, and maybe Flo and Mapping can help us in that regard, so that we can mobilize the Dominican public out there in the US to buy into the dashing. So in that way it can sell faster, and then we can place another order. Okay, also we're looking at yams as well, because quite a few farmers are calling that they have some excessive yams on their hand. Even if they try to sell locally, the volumes that they will be planting, it's more than the local market can absorb. So we're hoping that we can export some yams. Maybe with the next shipment of dashing, we can do a mixed container load of dashing and yam.
Were there any concerns with the quality of the dashing product? I mean, when it came out of the hurricane and things were topsy-turvy, were there any concerns on Dexia's part with the quality of dashing that was exported or even brought to the facility for exporting?
All right. There would always be concerns. First of all, the dashing got a battering from the wind, so that would have somehow affected the quality. What we tried to do to mitigate against that is that we needed about 18,000, so we ordered about 23,000 pounds. So we could do our own assessment, sort through what we really need, because the US market only wants from about 2 pounds to 5 pounds. So naturally you will have a percentage that would not meet the required standard. So, and even some of them will do some cooking tests. So once it comes to the pack house, we will take some samples, we will cook. But with dashing, you never know. So dashing could be looking pretty, but it could cook bad. So it's a mix. So that's why I'm looking forward for the reaction on the market itself, because after it have to take another week journey, it's still another test of quality. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that everything can go well, so that we can continue with further shipments.
You mentioned that farmers had called commenting they have excessive volumes of yam, not enough for the local market, or rather too much for the local market. Can the same be said for the dashing production in terms of do we have to worry about a shortage of dashing at any point, or we have enough to sell on the streets and in supermarkets?
Okay. All right. I think in the first place, that's why we did the shipment. Initially, we started getting dashing for relief, and I think we did in excess maybe about 8,000 to 10,000 pounds so far, and realized that it was taking too slow to get the dashing out, because the farmers are calling and dashing have a lifespan that we have to get it out by. So in doing the shipment, it will have easy burden on the farmers, so that we can get a break in terms of getting back to relief and enough for the local market. But we've been seeing a lot of dashing around town, and I think you have seen in areas like Astafans, close to the bridge, that persons are selling. So that's a good indication that people are buying dashing locally, and there is enough for local supply. Okay.
Is there any message you want to leave with the viewing public or with farmers as we wrap up our discussion?
Okay. To the farmers out there, we want you to continue planting. We know it's difficult. We have our extension working hard, and not just in Roseau, but also in Portsmouth. We have 2 pack houses. We would try to support as much as we can to the farmers, provide them with the necessary inputs. We already start distributing our weedicides and some of the fertilizer that we have in stock, ensure that they maintain the plots that they have. We're also trying to implement an age grade system, so we give you a color ribbon every month that you plant your dashing, so we can know exactly what age it is. So we want you to keep the faith, keep planting with us, and we will make as much effort as we can to continue purchasing. Not only just to purchase, but we need to sustain the markets that we have. We don't want to lose those markets. So we need to keep the markets going, and we need to keep the farmers going as well, because that's their livelihood. So we will work together with the farmers as best as we can moving forward.
That was Operations Manager for Dexia's Multi-Purpose Pack Houses, Bristol Lawrence, speaking to Channel 5 News on the shipments of dashing to the United States market, the first to that market since Hurricane Maria. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Andrea Louis.
Hurricane Maria has dealt a serious blow to Dowasco's already weak revenue base. Here's more.
The company's financial situation, which was already a challenge prior to Hurricane Maria, worsened after the storm.
Our revenue is now down to zero, really, whereas our cost has escalated. And so we are hopeful that, and we know the government of Dominica will come to assistance in that regard to help meet some of the costs that have been incurred at this point in time. I mean, we have various contractors working now in various areas of Dominica, and the cost for just sort of recovery now is somewhere in the region of well over $4 million. Various contractors just clearing roads and cutting trees and running pipes and things like that. So you have that kind of escalation in cost, and a reduction in your revenue, of course, is double jeopardy. But we're not daunted. We appreciate the support and the efforts of the government over the years, and in times like this, the government has always come through for Dowasco and has always supported the efforts of Dowasco, understanding the importance of water. We see our water, our treasure, our life, and we have seen over the years the government of Dominica really standing firm to the commitment to providing water for every Dominican. So that is how it has been, and how we anticipate is going to continue to be for some time.
In spite of all this, Dowasco officials say they're working hard to ensure that the water in your tap is safe for drinking.
We are monitored by the Ministry of Health, Environmental Health, Ministry of Health, in order to ensure that the potability of the water supply. We take all the necessary steps based on the World Health Organization standards in order to treat the water based on these standards and supply the water and do our monitoring in a day-to-day basis. At present, in certain instances, because of the level of turbidity, if the turbidity is very high, it means, in other terms, if the water has a very brown color and sometimes very dark brown, the treatment of the water can be compromised. As such, we still advise our customers to check if the water has a very clear color, and we are trying to ensure its potability, and so you can go ahead and you can drink the water. But if it's a day that you have a very heavy rain day and the water is very brown and you can see the color and certain sediments, we advise on our website to sometimes to boil the water before its consumption, because at present we have a particular level of turbidity, like 5 NTU, that we can safe supply the water for drinking. Above that, of course, you can use the water for other needs. Sometimes it's better to have the water for other needs than not to have.
Julian Morris reporting for Channel 5 News.
In other news, a local economist recommends using AM frequency during a hurricane for improved radio coverage on island.
The use of an AM versus FM frequency is the main subject of discussion in this segment, as well as Carnival 2018, as a local economist weighs in on the impact of both on Dominica post-Hurricane Maria.
But I would also say that there was something that should never, ever, ever, ever happen, that there was a lack of communication from the authorities or anybody for about 36 hours after the storm, because all radio stations were silent. And the government needs to look into the question of going back towards having a national station that has an AM transmitter. It might use it only in terms of emergency, or use it all the time. Because with one AM transmitter, the entire island would be covered with a radio signal, and we could all hear what's happening. Because even when DBS came back online, it was spotty. Some places you couldn't get it because they're using FM transmission, which is line of sight. It requires to get over Dominica. DBS has about 4 or 5 relays to do that. whereas with one AM transmitter, everybody's covered in one time. And it's super important that bits of communication be taken seriously, because I think part of the looting, you might say, has to do with a bit of a panic that sets in the public as not knowing what's happening, what's going to happen, you know. And since many people have never been in a hurricane, a real hurricane of this magnitude, there was a justifiable panic among people. Well, I would say it's good on the part of the people who live abroad, particularly in Antigua and Trinidad and Tobago, to put on concerts with the intention of helping Dominica. However, it's very, very bad on their part that they practically hired no Dominican musicians. Because the Dominican musicians who would have played at Creole in the Park, at the Cadaslypso competition, at the World Creole Music Festival, all now have no income. That income has been washed away. And it would have been better if they thought a little bit about it, to say, you can't work in Dominica, come to work in Trinidad and Tobago at this big concert we are organizing, and you will get paid. You should be paid. And if there's a profit made, it goes to the general relief effort which the Dominica government is coordinating. And I know some of the people, as opposed to people in Trinidad, I know them, yeah, that it was not very well thought out about having tons of Trinidadians come and play and so on, and all the Dominican musicians except for Triple K and Asa Banton sitting in Dominica scratching their beard. Yes, that we must have Carnival next year. Well, come what may, we must have Carnival next year. We should not miss it. Yeah, it's part of the whole psychological effort of getting people back to a state of normalcy, that things are going on as they used to do all the time, you know. We couldn't have the World Creole Music Festival this year for obvious reasons. The stadium is damaged. That's where some of the people who came from abroad to help us are housed, etc. That just wasn't feasible. But Carnival should take place. I am firmly of that belief there, because it not only generates income for the people involved in Carnival and the general economy, but it helps to bring a state of normalcy to the whole situation.
And that was local economist McCarthy Marie on the economic impact on Dominica post-Hurricane Maria. Reporting for Channel 5 News, I am Kenny Williams.
And now, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has given the nation an outline on how government intends on rebuilding the country post-Hurricane Maria.
The Prime Minister's remarks came during his address to mark Dominica's 39th anniversary of independence. Part of the reason for his overseas trip prior to independence was to secure funding for a three-pronged plan to include immediate relief, economic recovery, and climate-resilient rebuilding.
Having a plan has allowed us to galvanize the support and assistance of the international community. The task is formidable. We have lost an estimated 200% of our GDP, and our goal is to rebuild better, not just to replace what was lost. We must use the opportunity to move quickly to 100% resilient and renewable energy. We must rebuild almost all our schools and clinics in a smart, climate-resilient way. We must build new roads, bridges, and put in place slope interventions. We must coordinate our rebuilding so that our cables run underground alongside this new infrastructure. We must renew Roseau, its sea and river defenses. We must support the building of 5,000 new homes for our people. We must reorient our agriculture to ensure food security for us and those dependent on us. And more, we will establish the Climate Resilient Execution Agency of Dominica, a new institution to support the rapid implementation of our plans once they are funded. And following visits to Washington, New York, London, and Brussels over the last few weeks, over 50% of our funding is coming together.
Julian Morris reporting for Channel 5 News.
This has been the Channel 5 News. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. On behalf of the production team, I am Idona John Baptist, and to all our viewers around the world, thanks for watching. Join us tomorrow.